Our clocks have sprung forward and we've lost that hour of sleep, or you said you lost an hour of exercise.
Yeah, I'll try again in November. We'll see if I can get it back.
Well, how does all of that impact our health?
Great question. WKYT's Garrett Weimer and photojournalist Darnell Crenshaw spoke to a Lexington doctor about how losing just that 1 hour of rest really may lead to a number of serious and increased health risks. And that's a new story at 6.
We increase daylight savings times when we jump forward. There is an increased risk of cardiovascular events. We've seen increased risk of stroke, increased risk of heart attack.
So why are there increased health risks with the time change?
Well, that's a great question. The body has a normal internal clock, a circadian rhythm that we get used to. And when that disrupts, it can disrupt a lot of stuff, not only cardiovascular, such as stroke or heart attack, but it can affect your immune system.
Dr. Jeff Fox with Family Practice Associates of Lexington says there's good news. When there's extra light in the evening, people may want to exercise more outside, making us healthier. But on the flip side,
but that extra light also, again, affects our sleep hormones, affects our melatonin. So we may not go to bed as early. We may not sleep as well through the night. So we wake up in the morning fatigued.
And speaking of waking up tired, time change impacts our daily commute.
Accidents also increase early around the time of time change.
Drowsy driving is especially bad right now when we go through this time change.
Lori Weaver Hawkins of AAA of the Bluegrass says if you're feeling sleepy behind the wheel, you might need to take a break.
It's amazing what just a half-hour nap at a rest stop can do to refresh you and make you safer on the roads.
Dr. Fox says making the proper adjustments to your sleep pattern during daylight saving time is key to a healthy lifestyle. As to whether springing forward is good for us,
it appears that it's probably healthier overall if we'd stay with a standard time on a year-round basis.
In Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
A lot of people tend to agree. Dr. Fox also mentioned that people may experience their mood change and depression during this time change. He says that after a 2 to 3 week time span, most of us will have adjusted to daylight saving time.